The first thing I think when the drone hits the water is not again. The second thing I think, half a second later, watching it sink nose first into the touch tank and send 3 sea cucumbers tumbling off their rock like startled old men, is that I am going to murder whoever is responsible. Hey, wait, don't touch it, the propeller's still. Too late. My hand's already in the water up to the elbow, fingers closing around cold plastic, and the propeller catches the side of my palm with a sting sharp enough to make me hiss through my teeth. Oh my God, are you okay? The voice above me doesn't sound nearly panicked enough for someone who just sliced open a stranger's hand with his toy. If anything, he sounds like he's trying not to laugh. I look up, and there he is, leaning over the railing of the touch tank exhibit like he owns the building, sun-streaked hair pushed back, sleeves shoved up to his elbows, grinning at me with the kind of easy, untroubled face that belongs to someone who has never once had to clean up his own mess in his life. You almost killed Burong, I say flatly, holding up the smallest, most traumatized of the 3 cucumbers, who is doing his best impression of a deflated balloon. The sea cucumber has a name? All of them have names. You just named Burong's emotional support rock. He blinks at me. Then he laughs, really laughs, head tipping back, and it's loud enough that 2 kids by the shark tunnel turn to stare. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was filming a promo for my shop and the wind it got away from me. Your shop? Surf shop. Houndy. You've probably seen it, big blue sign, terrible parking. He says it like I should be impressed. I am not impressed. I am bleeding into a touch tank. You need to fill out an incident report, I tell him, because it's the only sentence I can produce that doesn't involve telling him exactly what I think of grown men who fly drones over marine exhibits for content. That's how I meet Choi Baekho. Not over coffee, not through friends, over a busted propeller and 4 stitches I get talked out of by a nurse friend who tells me a bandage will do fine, thanks for asking. He shows up the next day. I assume it's for the incident report. It is not for the incident report. I brought you something, he says, holding out a paper bag like an apology he rehearsed in the car. Inside is a single, slightly bruised peach. I didn't know what you'd like. You seemed like a difficult person to buy things for. I am a difficult person to buy things for. I figured. Hence the peach. Low stakes. I should tell him to leave. I have 4 husbandry logs to finish and a quarantine tank that needs checking and absolutely no time to stand here holding fruit from a man whose drone almost killed Burong. But there's something in the way he watches me, not like he's waiting for me to be impressed, the way most people are when they're performing charm, but like he's actually curious what I'll do next, that makes the words stick in my throat. I say, but you're banned from bringing electronics within 50 meters of this building. He comes back 3 days later. Then twice the week after that. He learns the names of all the fish I tell him, mangles every Latin term on purpose just to watch my face, and one Tuesday afternoon he shows up holding 2 iced coffees and says, completely deadpan, I've decided we're friends now. You don't get a vote. I didn't agree to this. You didn't disagree fast enough. That's basically consent in my world. I should hate how easy this is. I should hate how much I look forward to the sound of the side door opening at 4:15, how my chest does something stupid and unscheduled every time he leans over my shoulder to look at whatever I'm doing, close enough that I can smell salt and sunscreen on his skin. I've spent my whole life being the steady one, the one who doesn't need things, doesn't ask for things, doesn't let his pulse pick up just because someone remembered how he takes his coffee. My father raised me on the gospel of don't make yourself a burden, and I learned it so well I forgot there was another way to be loved. But Baekho doesn't ask me to be anything. He just shows up. It's a Friday evening, 6 weeks into whatever this is, when he finds me locking up the staff entrance after a long shift, a sick moray eel, a delayed delivery, the kind of day that leaves your shoulders somewhere up around your ears. He's sitting on the low wall outside, hood up against the wind coming off the water, and when he sees me he doesn't say anything clever. He just says, rough one? You have no idea. Walk with me. We don't talk much on the boardwalk. The tide's coming in, slapping dark and steady against the pylons, and the lights from the shops are starting to flicker on one by one, gold against the navy sky. My hand is cold. His hand finds it without either of us deciding to let that happen, and I let it stay there, and my heart is doing something loud and frantic and completely out of proportion to the size of the gesture. Doyun. He stops walking. The wind pushes his hair across his forehead and he doesn't fix it, just looks at me, and for once there's no joke loaded behind his eyes. Can I tell you something embarrassing? Depends how embarrassing. I think about you when I'm not supposed to be thinking about anyone. Like, during important calls. During my own shop meetings. I had an investor ask me a direct question yesterday and I was thinking about the way you said, "See cucumber," like it physically pained you to say it out loud. My throat goes dry. That's not a confession, that's an attention problem. Maybe. He steps closer. Close enough that I can feel the warmth coming off him, cutting through the wind. Or maybe I just like you a stupid, inconvenient amount, and I don't know what to do about it except tell you. I don't say anything. I can't. My pulse is roaring in my ears, my hands have gone strange and trembling at my sides, and every steady, composed part of me that I've spent 28 years building is doing absolutely nothing to stop what happens next, which is that he tips my chin up with 2 fingers, slow, like he's asking permission with his whole body even though his mouth never says the words, and kisses me. It's soft. Searching. A little uncertain in a way I didn't expect from someone who is uncertain about nothing. When he pulls back, his forehead drops against mine, and he laughs, quiet, almost nervous, nothing like the loud, easy laugh from the touch tank that day. Okay, he breathes. That was not part of the plan. My heart is still slamming against my ribs. What plan? He looks at me, and for the first time since I've known him, Choi Baekho looks genuinely, helplessly caught off guard by his own life. I don't know, he admits. I think you just broke it. The morning after the boardwalk, I wake up half convinced I dreamed the whole thing. Then my phone buzzes with a text that says only good morning, see cucumber guy, and a photo of Baekho's coffee with a badly drawn smiley face on the lid, and I realize, with my heart doing that stupid, traitorous flip again, that it was real. All of it. What follows isn't a slow burn anymore. It's a fire that's already caught, and neither of us bothers pretending otherwise. He starts leaving his board at my apartment by accident, so he has a reason to come back for it. I start leaving a spare toothbrush at his place above the surf shop without ever discussing it out loud. Just one day it's there, and neither of us mentions it, and somehow that silence says more than a conversation would have. We fall into each other the way tide falls into shore. Not gently, not gradually, just completely, like it was always going to happen this way and we were foolish to think otherwise. It's 3 weeks later, on a night when the shop downstairs has gone quiet and the only light in his room is the blue wash coming off the street lamp through the window, that he turns onto his side and looks at me with an expression I haven't seen on him before, something stripped of all its usual performance. I want to bond, he says. No build-up. No joke to soften it. Just the words, plain and bare in the dark. My breath catches somewhere behind my ribs. Baekho. I know it's fast. I know what people will say. His hand finds mine under the blanket, fingers lacing through mine, warm and certain. But I've never wanted anything the way I want this. I want you to be it. The thing I stop looking past other things for. I think about my father, alone all these years, raising me on the quiet lesson that wanting things out loud only gives people the chance to take them away. I think about how composed I've trained myself to be, how good I am at not needing anyone too visibly. And then I think about how, for the first time in my life, none of that careful armor feels like it's protecting me from anything. It just feels like distance. Distance from the one thing I actually want. Okay, I whisper. His eyes go soft and stunned, like he expected to have to convince me. Okay, I say again, steadier this time, and pull him down by the collar before he can ask a third time. What happens next isn't careful or measured. It's want finally let off its leash, his mouth against my throat, low and reverent, murmuring my name like it's something he's been rationing. My hands shake when I reach for the hem of his shirt, not from nerves but from how much I want this. Want him, want to stop being someone who keeps his hunger folded up small. He notices the tremble and stills, just for a second, lips brushing my jaw. Hey, he murmurs. Look at me. I do. His eyes are dark, steady, none of the teasing left in them, just heat and something gentler underneath it. Tell me if you want me to stop. I don't, I breathe. I really don't. He laughs, low and a little wrecked, and then there's no more space for words at all. Just heat and friction and the slow building ache of two people who have spent weeks circling something they finally stopped resisting. His hands map me like he's memorizing something he's terrified of forgetting, his mouth finding every place that makes my breath stutter, and when the bond finally settles between us, that low, electric hum at the base of my skull, the sense of him suddenly threaded into me in a way that will never fully undo. I feel something inside me unclench that I didn't know had been clenched my whole life. Afterward, he pulls me against his chest, breathing hard, lips pressed into my hair. Mine. He mumbles, half asleep already, like the word costs him nothing at all. I don't say anything back. I just listen to his heartbeat slow under my ear and let myself, for once, believe it. The next few months are, against every instinct I have, easy. We move into the apartment above the surf shop together. Me, complaining about the smell of neoprene. Him, complaining about how many fish tanks one person needs in a living room. He drags me into the water at 6 in the morning before my shift, laughing at how I curse the cold the entire time, and I teach him the Latin names of the animals at the aquarium just to watch him mangle every single one on purpose, grinning at me like it's a private joke between us. It's stupid how happy I am. It's the kind of happy I don't trust, because I've never had it before and I don't know the shape of its edges yet. I find out I'm pregnant on a Tuesday, standing in our tiny bathroom holding a stick that I've stared at for so long the lines have started to blur. My hands are shaking. My chest is so tight I can barely breathe around it. Not from fear, not yet, just from the sheer size of what's in front of me. When I tell him, he goes very still for a second, long enough that my stomach drops, certain I've broken something, and then his face cracks wide open into the brightest expression I've ever seen on him. We're having a baby, he says, like he's testing the words to see if they're real. Then louder, disbelieving, delighted, we're having a baby. He picks me up, spins me half a circle in the cramped bathroom until I'm laughing and telling him to put me down before he drops me, and for one whole golden minute, it's perfect. It's everything I didn't let myself imagine wanting. Then he sets me down, already reaching for his phone. I have to tell the guys. We have to celebrate. We should do something tonight. I'll call Juno, he'll know a place. Baekho. My voice comes out quieter than I mean it to. Maybe we should just sit with it. The two of us. First. He's already scrolling through his contacts, thumb moving fast, grinning down at the screen like the conversation already ended. We'll have plenty of time for the two of us. Tonight's for celebrating, baby, come on, this is huge. He doesn't look up. Doesn't notice the smile sliding carefully back into place on my face, the one I've used my whole life to cover the moment something lands a half second off from how I needed it to. I tell myself it doesn't mean anything. People process joy differently. Not everyone needs quiet the way I do. But that night, surrounded by his friends in a noisy bar booth, Baekho's arms slung warm and proud around my shoulders as he announces it to a table of people clapping and shouting and ordering shots in our honor, I catch him checking his phone under the table. Not for me, not for anything to do with tonight, just out of habit, out of the restlessness that lives under his skin even now, even here. And some small, quiet part of me, the part that spent a lifetime learning to read the silences between people's words, files it away without saying anything out loud. He didn't ask me what I wanted. He just decided what celebrating should look like, and assumed I'd follow. It's such a small thing. It shouldn't matter. I don't know yet how many small things it takes before they stop being small at all. The doctor says, bed rest, like it's a small word. It isn't. It starts as nothing. A little spotting, a little cramping, the kind of thing the obstetrician waves off as common in the second trimester. But 2 weeks later I'm doubled over the kitchen counter at 6 in the morning, pain lancing through my lower back so sharp I can't breathe around it, and the ER visit that follows ends with a diagnosis that turns my whole life into a waiting room. Placental complications. High risk. Strict bed rest, starting now for as long as it takes. Baekho holds my hand through the whole appointment, knuckles white, jaw tight in a way I've never seen on him. Whatever you need, he says, and he means it. I know he means it, in the way you mean something in the worst moment of it, fully, completely, with no idea yet what it's actually going to cost you. The first few days, he's perfect. He brings me tea I don't ask for, props pillows under my feet without being told, sits at the edge of the bed reading me the dumbest reviews of his own shop just to make me laugh. I let myself sink into it, into him, let my guard down so far that one slow evening, sunlight gone amber through the curtains, I reach for him first. Doyun. His voice catches, low, when my hand slides under his shirt. You're supposed to be resting. This counts as resting. My mouth finds his throat, his pulse jumping fast under my lips. The doctor didn't say anything about this. He laughs, breath shuddering out of him, and any resistance dissolves the second I pull him down against me. He's careful in a way that undoes me more than roughness ever could, propped on his forearms, weight off my belly, mouth moving slow and worshipful down my throat like he's terrified of being anything but gentle with what's growing between us. When he finally sinks into me, I have to bite back a sound too loud for the thin apartment walls, fingers digging into his shoulders, and he watches my face the whole time like he's memorizing it, like nothing else in the world exists outside the four walls of that bed. I love you, he breathes against my ear, voice wrecked. I love you, I love you. I believe him completely. That's the thing I'll think about later, in the dark, turning it over like a stone. I believed him completely, and it still wasn't enough to keep him in the room. It starts small. The Thailand trip comes up on a Tuesday, almost as an afterthought. So, the guy's locked in the dates, Baekho says, not quite looking at me, scrolling through his phone on the edge of the bed. Non-refundable booking, paid it back in spring. I figured I'd just go for the few days. Doctor said you're stable now, the worst of the scares behind us, and it's not like there's anything to do, really, except wait it out. Something in my chest goes very still and very cold. You're leaving, I say. Not a question. It's 4 days, Doyun. I'll call every day. He runs a hand through his hair, restless in the way he gets when he's already decided something and is only going through the motions of asking. I need to breathe for a second. This whole thing has been a lot. I think I'll come back better for it. More able to be here for you instead of just sitting around getting anxious with you. Ask him to stay. Just say the word. Go, I say instead, because some habits run deeper than fear does. He looks almost relieved I didn't fight him on it. He kisses my forehead, says I love you, this doesn't change that, and 3 days later I'm watching his flight confirmation light up his phone screen from across the room while he packs a bag full of swim trunks for a trip to celebrate a pregnancy he isn't sticking around to actually see through. He leaves on a Friday morning. By that night he's silent. No call, no text, just a read receipt on a message I sent asking if he landed okay. 3 days into his absence, alone in the apartment with a quiet that started to feel less like peace and more like a warning, the pain starts. It's nothing at first, a dull cramping low in my back that I tell myself is just exhaustion. Then it sharpens. Then it doesn't stop. I call Baekho first. It rings 4 times and goes to voicemail. I call again. Same thing. My hands are shaking too hard to type a coherent text, so I do the only other thing I can think to do, I call Sungmin. He's at the apartment in under 15 minutes, still in his work polo from the aquarium, taking one look at my face before he's already got an arm under mine, already dialing the ambulance with his other hand pressed flat and steady against my back like he can hold the pain in place through sheer will. Hey, stay with me, okay? You're okay. His voice doesn't shake the way I expect it to. I'm calling your dad. Don't argue with me, I'm calling him. I want to tell him not to scare my father. I don't have the breath left to say it. The ambulance ride is a blur of fluorescent light and Sungmin's hand wrapped tight around mine in the place Baekho's should be, his voice low and constant in my ear telling me to breathe. Just breathe, we're almost there. Somewhere in the chaos I hear him on the phone again, voice cracking for the first time. Mr. Kong, it's Sungmin from the aquarium, I need you to come to Houndy General right now, it's Doyun, something's wrong with the baby? I try Baekho's number one more time from the gurney, vision already starting to gray at the edges, the pain so total now it stopped feeling like pain and started feeling like something closer to leaving my body altogether. It rings. and rings, and goes again to voicemail. The last thing I register before the world tips sideways into white light and rushing voices is Sungmin's face above mine, scared in a way I've never seen on him, saying my name like it's the only thing keeping me tethered to the room. 11,000 kilometers away, on a beach turning gold with sunset, Choi Baekho's phone sits face down in the sand beside an empty cocktail glass, buzzing once, twice, 3 times against the silence, and no one reaches for it at all. The first thing I'm aware of is the ceiling. White, fluorescent, swimming slightly at the edges, like the world hasn't decided yet whether it wants to hold its shape. The second thing I'm aware of is the emptiness, a hollowed-out feeling low in my body that has nothing to do with the 4-line taped to my hand and everything to do with something that isn't there anymore. Doyun. My father's voice, rough in a way I've never heard it. His hand closes around mine, warm and shaking. Doyun, can you hear me? I try to speak. My throat is sandpaper. The baby. He doesn't answer right away. He doesn't have to. His silence has the exact shape of an answer, and something in my chest cracks open so wide and so fast that for a second I can't breathe around it at all. I'm so sorry, he says, and his voice breaks on the last word, and I realize, dimly, that I have never once in my life heard my father cry. He's crying now, forehead pressed to the back of my hand, and the sound of it is worse than anything the doctor says after, placental abruption, emergency surgery, we almost lost you too. Because my father doesn't cry, my father is the steadiest person I have ever known, and if he's crying then this is real in a way no medical term could ever make it real. Sungmin is in the corner of the room, still in his work polo, dark circles bruised under his eyes like he hasn't slept. He catches my gaze and doesn't try to smile, doesn't try to soften it. He just nods, once, like he's confirming something I already know. Where's, I can't even finish the sentence. I don't need to. Sungmin's jaw tightens. He's not back yet. The words land somewhere far away, like they're happening to someone else. Not back yet. Not he's on his way. Not he's outside, they wouldn't let him in. Not back yet as in still there. Still on the beach. Still wherever he is, 11,000 kilometers from the room where I almost died. Did you call him? My voice comes out smaller than I wanted to. I called him 11 times the night it happened. Sungmin's voice goes flat, careful, the way it does when he's holding something back to keep me from breaking further. He picked up around 4 in the morning. Said he'd get the first flight out. And? That was 2 days ago. The room goes very quiet. Even the machine monitoring my heart rate seems to hold its breath. He's coming, my father says gently, like he can hear the question I'm too afraid to ask. Sungmin said he's coming. Coming. Eventually. After the surgery. After I almost died on a table without him. After whatever it was that mattered more than getting on that first flight he promised. I don't say any of that out loud. I just nod, because nodding is easier than the alternative, and close my eyes against the fluorescent light until the room blurs soft and gray and I can pretend, for a few merciful seconds, that none of this is real. The days that follow move slow and strange, time stretched thin and shapeless. There's a second surgery, complications from the first, something about scarring, something the doctor explains in a careful, gentle voice that I only half absorb because all I can think about is the empty space at my side where his hand should be. Sungmin comes every day after his shift, still smelling faintly of salt water and the aquarium's chlorine, bringing me food I don't eat and sitting with me through the silences I don't fill. He never once asks where Baekho is. He doesn't have to. We both already know the answer is somewhere worse than not here yet. It's the 4th night when my phone finally rings. I almost don't pick up. My hands have started doing this thing lately, this fine, persistent tremor that I can't seem to stop, but I see his name on the screen and something in me, some old and stubborn hope, still reaches for it. Doyun. His voice is rough, thick with something, exhaustion or guilt or both. There's noise behind him, distant music, laughter that doesn't belong anywhere near this conversation. Hey, God, I'm so sorry, the flights were a mess, everything's been insane. Where are you? My voice comes out flat, steady. The composure costs me everything I have left. The pause. The music behind him doesn't stop. Still in Phuket. I know, I'm trying, the connecting flight got. You've had 4 days, I say. 4 days, Baekho. I know. Something genuine cracks through the noise in his voice. Real panic, real shame, the kind I haven't heard from him before. I'm getting on a flight tomorrow morning, I swear, I'll be there by tomorrow night, In the background, faint but unmistakable, a voice calls his name, bright, teasing, someone, and laughter follows it, easy and warm, the kind of laughter that belongs to people who have no idea what room I'm calling from. The line goes quiet on my end. Not from anger. From something colder than anger. A kind of clarity settling into my chest like ice water. Doyun? You still there? I'm here, I say, and my voice doesn't shake at all. Take your time, Baekho. I hang up before he can answer. I lie there afterward, staring at the ceiling, the hum of the 4-pump the only sound in the room, and I think about the laughter in the background, easy, careless, someone else's voice calling his name like it had every right to. I don't know her name yet. I don't know, not for certain, what that laughter means. But some quiet, terrible part of me, the part that's been keeping a ledger this entire relationship, counting every small absence without ever handing over the bill, already knows. And 3 days later, when Sungmin walks into my hospital room with his phone held loosely in one shaking hand, face pale and stricken in a way I've never seen on him before, I know, with a certainty that turns my whole body to ice, that I'm about to find out for sure. Doyun, he says, voice barely above a whisper. There's something you need to see. Sungmin's hand is shaking when he turns the phone screen toward me. It's a photo. Nothing dramatic at first glance. A beach bar at golden hour, a long table crowded with empty glasses and half-eaten plates, the kind of careless, sun-drunk group shot people take 100 times a vacation and never look at twice. Baekho is at the center of it, laughing, head tipped back the exact way he laughed the first day I met him over a ruined drone. There's a woman pressed against his side, her hand resting flat on his chest like it belongs there, his arms slung loose and easy around her shoulders. It isn't even the worst photo I'll see. Juno, the friend who finally couldn't stay quiet anymore, the one who sends it to Sungmin with a single line, he needs to stop, someone needs to tell Doyun, has more. A different night, a different woman, the same careless arm, the same easy laugh. Some include images of different women straddling him. This isn't an affair exactly. That word implies a plan, a decision, a person chosen over another. This is something else, something almost worse in its emptiness. A man with nothing weighing on him, behaving like nothing is. I don't cry. I think I'm somewhere past crying. I'm sorry, Sungmin says, voice thick. I almost didn't show you. I didn't know if you did the right thing. My own voice sounds strange to me, flat and far away, like it's coming from someone standing just behind my body instead of inside it. I needed to know. He sits with me in silence after that, his hand wrapped around mine, and for once I don't try to fill the quiet with something composed and reassuring. I just let it sit there, heavy and true, while somewhere in my chest something that's been holding on for months finally, quietly, lets go. The weeks that follow are slow in a way that has nothing gentle about it. My body heals first, stitches dissolving, strength creeping back into limbs that forgot how to hold weight, color returning to a face I barely recognize in the bathroom mirror. My heart takes longer. It takes longer than I expect, longer than I think it should, and some nights I lie awake furious at myself for that, for still flinching toward the empty side of the bed, for still reaching for a phone that has nothing on it worth reaching for. But something else happens too, slower and quieter, almost without my noticing. I let people in. My father starts coming by every other day, sitting at my kitchen table with 2 cups of tea he makes badly and doesn't apologize for, and one evening, halfway through a silence that used to make me uncomfortable, I tell him everything. Not the composed version. Not the version where I'm fine, where I'm managing, where I don't need anything from anyone. The real one. The fear, the ledger I kept and never showed anyone, the way I asked him to go because some broken part of me has never once in my life known how to ask anyone to stay. He doesn't tell me it's not my fault, exactly, though it is. He just listens, hands wrapped around his ugly mug of tea, and at the end he says, quiet and sure, You don't have to carry things alone just because you're good at it, Doyun. That was never something to be proud of. I think about that sentence for days afterward. Sungmin comes every evening after his shift, smelling of chlorine and salt. And somewhere in those weeks our friendship turns into something steadier than it's ever been, not because anything's changed between us, but because I finally let him see the parts of me I used to hide even from myself. He doesn't flinch from any of it. He just shows up, again and again, with food I eventually start eating and silences I eventually stop needing to fill. It's strange how much lighter grief gets when you stop trying to carry it by yourself. It doesn't get smaller. It just gets shareable. Baekho calls every day. I let most of them go to voicemail. The ones I do answer are short, brittle, full of apologies that used to mean something to me and now just sound like noise. I'm coming home, I swear, I just need to sort out the flight. I'm so sorry, Doyun, I love you, this isn't what it looks like. I stop bothering to argue the last part. What it looks like and what it is have stopped feeling like different things to me. He lands 11 days after Juno's photo reaches my phone. I know because Sungmin tells me, not because Baekho does. He doesn't call to say he's home. He just shows up. I hear it before I see it. The particular weight of footsteps on the stairwell outside my apartment. Footsteps I know better than my own heartbeat by now, slower than usual, hesitant in a way I've never once heard from him. Choi Baekho has never hesitated at anything in his life. Watching him learn how, even through a closed door, does something strange and unwelcome to my chest. The knock comes soft. Almost apologetic. I stand in the kitchen with my hand pressed flat against the counter, staring at the door like it might tell me what to do if I just look at it long enough. Doyun. His voice is rough, thinner than I remember it, like the last 2 weeks have worn something down to its frame. I know you're in there. I'm not asking you to let me in. I just need you to hear me say it in person. Not over the phone. Not like a coward. My pulse is roaring in my ears. My hands, when I look down at them, are shaking again, that same fine tremor that's haunted me since the hospital. I know what you saw, he says, voice cracking on the words. I know there's nothing I can say that makes it okay. I need you to know I came back the second I understood what I'd done. The second it actually hit me. I know that's too late. I know that doesn't fix anything. I don't move. I don't speak. I just stand there with my palm flat against the cool counter, listening to the sound of a man finally arriving somewhere on time for once in his life, 4 months and 1 funeral too late. Doyun, he says again, quieter now, almost breaking. Please. Just open the door. My hand finds the doorknob before I've decided anything at all. I open the door, and for a long moment neither of us says anything at all. He looks different. Not in the obvious ways, same face, same broad shoulders that used to feel like home under my hands, but something underneath it has shifted, like a house after a storm that's structurally fine but never quite settles the same way again. His eyes are red-rimmed, his jaw rough with days of stubble. He clearly hasn't had it in him to shave. Can I come in, he asks. Not can we talk. Not assuming anything. Just that, small and careful, waiting on the doorstep like a man who has finally learned what it costs to assume he's welcome somewhere. I step back and let him pass. He doesn't try to touch me. That's the first thing I notice. No hand reaching for mine, no automatic pull toward the easy physical comfort that used to fix everything between us, or at least paper over it long enough that it felt fixed. He sits at the far end of the couch, leaving space between us that he's never once left before, and folds his hands together like he's bracing for something. I started therapy, he says, before I can say anything at all. 2 days after I landed. I know that sounds like a thing people say to look good. I don't care if it sounds like that. I needed you to know I'm doing it anyway. I don't respond right away. I'm watching his hands, the way they twist together, restless in a way that used to mean he was bored and now seems to mean something closer to afraid. Why? I finally ask. Not cruel. Just genuinely needing to know. He's quiet for a long moment, like he's turning the question over, testing its weight before he answers it honestly instead of easily. Because my therapist asked me why I went to Thailand instead of staying in that hospital room, he says, voice low, and the honest answer took me 3 sessions to actually say out loud. I didn't go because I didn't care. I went because I didn't know how to be in a room with something that big and broken and just sit in it. I've never had to. My whole life, when something got hard, there was always an exit. A trip, a party, a friend with a better story than my problem. I didn't run from you. I ran from the first thing in my life I couldn't fix by leaving. It's the most honest sentence I've ever heard him say. It still isn't enough. I believe you, I tell him, and I mean it, every word. I believe you're in therapy. I believe you're trying. I even believe, a year from now, you might actually be someone who doesn't run. Something in his face lifts, hope breaking through the exhaustion like sun through cloud cover. Then, but that man isn't here yet, Baekho. And the one who is here right now isn't the one I needed in that hospital room. My voice doesn't shake. I'm surprised by how steady it comes out, how much of the trembling that used to live permanently under my skin has finally gone quiet. You're describing someone you're becoming. I can't live in the future tense with you. I already did that once, waiting for you to grow into the person you kept promising you already were. I know I don't deserve another chance. His voice cracks. I'm not even asking for one, not really. I just need you to know none of it meant what it must have looked like. The pictures. I don't need to know about the pictures. I say it gently because there's no anger left in me for that part, not really. It stopped being the wound days ago, eclipsed by the bigger one underneath it. It was never really about them, Baekho. It was about the 4 days before them. The part where I was alone on a table, and you were somewhere I couldn't reach, and you came back 2 weeks late instead of on the first flight you promised. He doesn't argue. That's new too. The old Baekho would have found an angle, a reason, something to soften the shape of it. This one just sits with it, lets it land, lets it hurt the way it's supposed to. I loved you, I tell him, quiet, and the past tense costs me something to say out loud, more than I expect. I think some part of me still does, actually, which is its own kind of inconvenient. But loving someone was never supposed to mean forgetting what it felt like to almost die without them in the room. The silence after that isn't angry. It's just final, in the particular way silences get when both people in them already know how the conversation ends. He nods, slow, eyes wet but not spilling over. Okay, he says. I won't. I'm not going to keep showing up at your door. I just needed you to hear it from me in person once. That I know. That I'm sorry. That I'm trying to be someone who deserves an apology landing on time, even if it's not landing for you. He stands. At the door, he pauses, hand on the frame, and looks back at me one more time. Not pleading, just looking, like he's trying to memorize something he already knows he's lost. I hope you're happy, Doyun. Really. Whatever that ends up looking like. I hope you actually become him, I say. The man in 3 years who doesn't run. For whoever's lucky enough to be standing there when you do. He almost smiles, small, sad, real. Then he's gone, footsteps receding down the same stairwell I memorized the sound of weeks ago, and I stand in the quiet apartment for a long time after the door clicks shut, waiting to feel something enormous. What I feel instead is smaller than that. Steadier. Something like relief wearing the clothes of grief. 3 months later, I'm back at the touch tank, elbow deep in cold water, checking on Burong, who has fully recovered from his brush with mortality by drone. Sungmin leans on the railing beside me, telling some terrible joke about a school group that tried to feed the otters cheese, and I laugh. Really laugh, the kind that used to feel rare and now doesn't. Somewhere across the city, I imagine Baekho is awake before dawn, the way his texts to mutual friends say he's been lately, alone on a beach with no one to perform his recovery for, finally doing the quiet, unglamorous work of becoming someone steadier. I hope he gets there. I just know, with a calm I never had before all this happened, that I won't be the one waiting at the finish line when he does.